It's Valley Radio time again for Fanboy Friday. I'm your host, Robert Miguel, and with me on the phone, checking in from Big D, that's Dallas, Texas, professional Q&A moderator and speaker, the film critic at BigFanboy.com, show director at Dallas Comic Show, credentials a mile long, the one and only Mark Walters. Good morning.
What is up, Robert?
Man, I'm just enjoying Independence Day weekend, man. I know we got a lot less options for this time of year, but still, man, celebrate America. Happy birthday, USA. All right.
Yeah, you and I were talking about how, because since there's not going to be a lot of fireworks celebrations, at least not officially, I think we're going to be hearing a lot of fireworks going off throughout the neighborhood throughout the evening. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. I've already pretty much resigned myself to I'm probably not getting any sleep. So,
right. And that's important. That stuff doesn't really bother me that much because I'm kind of a loud and crazy kind of guy. But if you know friends with PTSD or somebody with pets, kind of, remind them and tell them to take the precautions because there are ways that we can kind of get ready for that thing and try to be sensitive to those around you because, like I said, I like firecrackers. When people are doing them in my neighborhood, I don't get uptight about it. I kind of go outside and look around. But I'm not everybody.
I always find myself every year, like, I prepare myself for it, and, when it happens, like, usually around midnight, or sometimes even around, like, 10 o'clock, depending on where these people are from, they'll start early or whatever. What bothers me is when it's, like, 2, 3, 4 in the morning, and they're still doing it. It's kind of like, you almost want to yell out the window, like, all right, enough.
Get off my lawn! We're just old curmudgeons, man. It's all good. It's all good. Well, hey, man, tell me this. I know, pandemic aside, what do you normally do for Independence Day weekend, 4th of July weekend? Well, do you have a normal thing you do, like a trip, or you just go to see the big summer blockbuster movie? What's normally the thing that Mark Walters does?
I'm a simple guy, man. I just like cooking out on the grill. I like to get some burgers. In fact, I actually went, now I may be George Foreman grilling it this year, okay. But I went and I picked up some hamburger patties because I figured I'm going to grill some burgers. And, just kind of, play it simple. I'm just going to stay around the house. I'm not going anywhere or doing anything. I'm just, keeping it simple. And I'll probably watch some of my favorite movies. I usually like to watch, just some really solid action movies. Like I'll probably watch Predator and Die Hard and stuff like that. Stuff to kind of help, celebrate macho-ness, and stuff like that. But that's probably about it. Usually there is kind of some big summer movie that comes out on July 4th weekend, but since we don't really have that this year, that would have been Tenet. If everything had gone according to plan. We would have seen Christopher Nolan's Tenet this weekend, but unfortunately that got pushed back. Now that's in August. So yeah, there's really no big movie to go to, so I'm just going to I'll be sitting in front of the grill watching my own hamburger movie play out. So. Well,
that sounds great. Now, down here, we're real close to the river, so normally, I'll go visit my folks at the cabin and get in the water, but at the same time, 4th of July weekend, all the tourists come out here, they trash the place, you can't get in. Now we got COVID, so that's not happening. But during the week out here, getting in the water's still pretty cool. But yeah, I think I'm the same way, man. Maybe do a brisket or grill some burgers and break out my Independence Day Blu-ray, and that's kind of my annual thing with my kid. We always watch Independence Day, watch Will Smith Save the World.
Day, yeah, that's a great July 4th movie, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, Bill Pullman always gets me through. All right, good stuff. Well, hey, man, let's get into the movies. Like you said, there isn't much going on by way of releases. Any news or DVD releases to talk about? Anything?
No, there's really not a lot going on. I mean, more and more we're hearing about, movies that are coming to streaming. And I think more and more now, like, even when I post trailers for movies at BigFanboy.com, I always note that, this is scheduled to come out, at a certain date in theaters, but it's very possible you may just see it on demand or on digital and whatnot. I think we're kind of in that age where, we almost have to put that little disclaimer of,
sure.
This is supposed to come out in theaters, but chances are you may just end up seeing it at home. That's kind of becoming like an expected thing, but, I've also noticed a lot of the studios that are releasing films now, it seems like they're trying, I think they're trying to schedule them further and further out so that they don't put themselves in that situation. We just posted up a couple of new trailers this week. There's a new David Ayer movie called The Tax Collector starring Shia LaBeouf. And I think that's not scheduled to come out until sometime like late August or something. But, and we're also seeing like movie posters. They keep putting out new movie posters. Like they just put out another new movie poster for Tenet with a new release date on it. And in a weird way, it's kind of like, well, that's a bold choice to actually print the release date on the poster now.
Right.
Never thought I would say that, but, we are kind of, that's where we're at right now. And it's interesting to see, like, these movies are being shifted around and rescheduled. A lot of movies have been pushed, and hopefully we will be in a place where, we can kind of, see some of these films later in the year, especially once we get to, like, November and Christmas time.
Yeah.
But there was some news that came out this week that, some of the big movie theater chains, they've actually made the decision now that they're not going to open at their original scheduled reopening plans. Like, some of them were supposed to be open by July 4th weekend.
Yep.
Now they're saying it may be end of July, beginning of August before they actually open. So, and a lot of that I think has to do with state regulations. This week, Governor Abbott announced that, now masks are mandatory.
Yeah.
And we're getting a little more strict in terms of businesses. So I think movie theaters are trying to get out ahead of that and not put themselves in a situation that they're going to regret, which is smart. I think they got to be smart about it. So we're still kind of in that holding pattern as far as movie going, is concerned. But I just keep hoping. I keep hoping we'll eventually get to that place where we can get back out there. I'm still kind of doing the drive-in thing. I'm actually going tonight, big 40th anniversary screening of Flash Gordon done drive-in style.
Wow.
I'm super excited about that. You were asking me what I was going to do this weekend. I don't know why that slipped my mind, but that's what I got on the docket. And I'm really stoked to see Flash Gordon, even if it is a drive-in experience. I think it's going to be fun. Because that's kind of how you would have saw it back in 1980 anyway.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So, yeah.
No, you know what? Over the summer, one of our local establishments here, the Hangar 6 Air Cafe, did some of those outdoor screenings, kind of a makeshift drive-in theater, and I took my daughter to see Grease in a drive-thru. The funny thing about that story is that back in, 1976 or whenever it came out, I saw that film with my parents at the drive-in. So, here I am with my 13-year-old daughter kind of recreating history. It was really cool. It's a fun experience,
And that's a perfect movie to see that way because it actually ends with them in the car.
Yes, absolutely. Well, hey, now you mentioned streaming, and I just kind of wanted to touch on this. What are your thoughts on that theater at home experience? Now I've got a family of two, just me and a teenage girl, and whenever the new releases come out, man, I'm kind of hesitant to drop $20, for a movie I'm going to watch once because, that's $20. I kind of feel like if it was $10, $5 a piece, maybe a better deal. I know you're one guy, so $20 is a bigger chunk of change for you. Now, family of four, not such a big deal, right? It's $5 a head. It's a good value, I think. What are your thoughts on the price points and all that good stuff? Have you really thought about that?
Yeah, actually I have, and it's funny because I'm even seeing sort of the reverse problem of that with these drive-in scenarios because we've had a couple different places here in Dallas that are doing drive-in experiences. And what they're doing is they're charging, it's anywhere from $20, sometimes up to like $30 and $35 per car.
Right.
And I guess their logic and their thinking is, well, you could load up the car and bring 4 or 5 people to watch a drive-in movie. Mm-hmm. However, if it's just me going to watch a drive-in movie, then I feel like I'm getting ripped off.
Yep.
I'm having to spend, $20 to go watch a movie by myself. So, and that seems to be one of those things where it's like, I don't really know what the solution to that is. I'm sure the studios have thought about that, like, what is kind of the optimal price? And they're probably also basing that on the average cost of tickets at a movie theater. Like when you go to a movie theater now, what you pay for an adult ticket to get in, it keeps going up. I mean, it's anywhere now from like $12 to $15, depending on where you are. And, for a single ticket. So they probably figure that $20 is a pretty nice price point. But I think you make a really good point because if you're sitting at home, it's not the same as the movie-going experience of being in a large movie theater. I guess the biggest difference is not spending money on concessions. You could go buy a box of popcorn at the grocery store that'll last you for a month as opposed to, spending $20 on a popcorn and a Coke at the concession stand. So you're probably saving money that way. But I think that is a problem that they haven't quite figured out. Like there really should be some kind of sliding scale to say like, okay, well, this is great for like the family of 5, but what about the guy living by himself? How is he going to justify paying $20 to see a movie? And there really should be some kind of balance to that. And I don't think we've quite figured that out yet. Hopefully that is something they can, figure out a solution for.
Well, a point I think of note is that as the new releases kind of become less new, then they do drop the price, a couple of bucks here, a couple of bucks there, to where, for instance, that Trolls movie was $20. Now it's down to like $14.99 or $10, or something like that. So, which is smart, so you can wait, you pay a little bit less, but you pay more for the premium, new release. So that's good stuff.
They just need to sell a Lonely Guy membership card that validates that you are sitting at home alone by yourself, and you should get a discounted price for that.
Well, hey, man, I know there's really not much else to talk about, so let's go ahead and get into our local releases. We've been doing this. This has actually been a lot of fun because you can do these kind of quick rapid-fire reviews of some of the classic films that are showing here locally at the Uvalde Forum 6 Theater. So are you ready to do this, man? I'm just going to rapid-fire them. You just tell me your thoughts. And there's some really good ones, I think, this weekend you'll dig.
Oh, yeah, man. No, I totally dig it. Let's go.
All right, so showing this weekend at the Uvalde Forum 6 Theater, rated PG-13, coming in at 136 minutes, Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens.
Wow. Yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing that back on the big screen again. I mean, I enjoyed it when it came out. I thought it was a lot of fun. I remember that movie especially being really good for sound. John Williams really kind of showed that he still got it, in terms of the score and everything. So there's definitely a lot of pluses to seeing that back on the big screen. I mean, it's kind of funny because in my head, I'm thinking like, well, that's so recent, that's so like new and familiar that I don't know if I would want to necessarily pay to see it again. But honestly, I'm kind of attracted to the idea of seeing that on a big screen again. I think that would be cool to see. Yeah.
Right on. Okay, also showing the original Jurassic Park, rated PG-13, 127 minutes.
Oh, my God. Absolutely. Any chance I get to see that on a big screen, I would take it. If for nothing else, the sound design, the fact that the special effects still hold up even today. I think some of the CGI in that film is better than anything we've seen even in the last few years. So I love that movie. And especially because we got another Jurassic World movie coming up pretty soon, which is going to bring back the original cast. I think now is a perfect time to revisit that on the big screen.
Awesome. Also showing at the Forum 6, rated PG, coming in at 106 minutes, the live-action Jungle Book.
I have to admit something to you, Robert. Okay. I don't think I've ever seen it.
Oh, right.
That's the one that was directed by Jon Favreau, right?
Yeah, you know what? And I think that I've seen it, but I don't recall it.
I do remember it has a really incredible voice cast because I think like Bill Murray is Baloo, right? Like it's got a really great voice cast.
Oh, yeah, I did see that. Yes, yeah, I did see that.
Yeah, I mean, I always loved that story, and I guess for kids, maybe if you had kids, and you wanted to introduce them to that story, or maybe even if they loved like the Disney version of it, that would be a good way to kind of see it on the big screen. Because chances are you're not going to see the original animated version on the big screen. So yeah, I guess why not? I can't really comment on the movie itself only because I haven't seen it, but I do like Jon Favreau, so there's that. Well,
it's all coming back to me now. I do remember that I liked Baloo, and I liked that giant orangutan monkey, what's his name? But some of it was really done really well, but a lot of it, it was just kind of like, hey, we're just going to kind of reimagine this, in live action, and I don't know, it was good, but it was those live action remakes. I'm not a huge fan of them, to be perfectly honest.
I will say this because it's recent. Jon Favreau's version of The Lion King, which just came out. I'm a huge fan of the original Lion King, and when I sat and watched Jon Favreau's version, while I thought it was impressive in terms of the CGI and whatnot and the way that it was executed, it didn't really do much for me. And I think part of the reason was because it was so true to the original, I sort of felt like, well, why don't I just go watch the original? I mean, if the original is that good and all they're going to do is basically convert it into CGI, then I'll just go watch the original and enjoy it for what it was. But that said, I know it made a lot of money, so obviously he's doing something right.
Well, I think we've talked about this before. I really thought and I still think the original animated is just far superior. And I just think it's the way they're drawn. I think that they managed to put way more personality and emotion in those characters with hand drawings than they did with CGI. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
No, I would totally agree with that. Totally agree with that.
Okay, also showing at the Forum 6 this weekend, 4th of July weekend, rated PG-13, 138 minutes, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix.
I always love it when you bring these up because I always, in my head, I'm thinking, now,
which one?
When was this? What? Which Harry Potter movie? I always have to think about a certain element of the movie that tells me what it is. So let's see. Order of the Phoenix would have been the 6th movie, or is it the 5th movie?
Let me look it up here. Well, this is the one. We had one of the characters die. Voldemort is now alive in I guess a human type form, and I guess this is where things start to get real because Voldemort's back. But this is the 5th one. I don't know if that helps.
Okay, well, I'm just going to go ahead and say that since it's a Harry Potter movie, probably enjoyable and fun. How about that?
There you go. And and if you watch the last 4, then just go watch this one. It's the next one in line. So good stuff.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, and also coming in at 106 minutes, rated R, Deadpool.
Oh gosh, yes, very fun. Really enjoyed that film, and oddly enough, I've only seen it once. And I very much have been wanting to revisit it, so I would absolutely be first in line for that. I also think that's a great movie to kind of experience on the big screen. It's loud, it's action-packed, it's raunchy. Probably not one for kids, but if you're into comic books and you're of our age bracket, I think it's definitely worth checking out.
And finally, rated R, 97 minutes, The Breakfast Club.
Oh, my goodness. Weren't we just talking about John Hughes? We were talking about Ian Pink, and we were talking about how much we love those films. Again, this is one of those films. I adore this movie. I only saw it once on the big screen. I saw it probably 50 times on cable. But I think it's one of those films that does benefit from a big screen experience. And it's classic John Hughes. I mean, this is one of those, especially if you've never seen it. And I would say that if you have kids, if they're in the teenage brackets where they're going into high school and whatnot, I actually would recommend that film just to help them kind of, sort of figure themselves out. Because that movie was so great. I remember seeing it. I wasn't quite in high school age at the time. I know you probably were. But I remember it kind of was helping me sort of figure myself out when I watched that movie. I came out of that movie feeling like I had a better grasp of what it was like to be a kid or a youth, and so I think it's a terrific film. Absolutely great. One of Hughes' best, absolute best.
Well, as a parent, I can absolutely, confirm that because I know that having a couple of adult kids and a teenager now that have all seen it and I've watched it with them, it's just a great opportunity when it's done to have a discussion, about what they're going through, peer pressure, self-image, all that kind of awareness, and, grades, just school in general. It's just a great, springboard for good conversation with your teenagers. So, great.
And, great soundtrack, too.
Just a great film all the way around. Oh, my God. Makes me want to fist pump. Awesome. All right, man. Well, that's what's showing this weekend, 4th of July weekend at the Forum 6 Theater here in Uvalde, Texas. Thanks again, Mark, for the rapid-fire reviews. Anything else specific going on at bigfanboy.com that we need to go and click over to?
No, I just want to mention we do have some new trailers up. Like I said, there's a new David Ayer movie called The Tax Collector starring Shia LaBeouf. Looks pretty intense. There's a new horror movie called Amulet that looks interesting, a new trailer for Pixar's Soul, and we'll have some new clips and a new trailer up for The Old Guard. So check all that out at bigfanboy.com. We're trying to keep you guys up to date on all the new movies that are coming out, even though there's really not a whole lot to talk about in the world of movie news. We'll still be posting all those trailers up there. So if you missed anything like that, you can catch up at bigfanboy.com.
Well, again, man, thanks for all the information and insight. And that's going to wrap up Fanboy Friday for your 4th of July weekend. So let's give it up. Professional Q&A moderator and speaker, film critic at bigfanboy.com, show director at the Dallas Comic Show, the one and only Uncle Sam, Mark Walters.
I want you to have a great weekend.